The World Center of Racing meets the IR-18 series for the first time in 2024. Welcome to the Daytona International Speedway, where in just 5 minutes time, we'll begin a 100-lap feature here in the Velocity Online Racing League. The Daytona 400-kilometer presented today by Black Magic Designs is going to be an exciting event, and returning to one of the biggest tracks on our schedule, right up there with Indianapolis in terms of race length. However, it's a bit more of a unique combination. You don't often see this one come together, but with just about 20 drivers ready to go, we're looking forward to a very exciting event. Welcome back live on FTN, our first of two broadcasts today, and I'm David Kreutz, joined today alongside Gary Godso. Qualifying is on the move with 3 minutes left on the timing charts here. And Gary, you saw a race here, very familiar, yesterday with the DW12s and the same card combination in a similar sense of open wheel package. A lot of the same drivers too, and maybe that's going to set the stage for what we expect today, because now with times coming in, we're closer and closer to the beginning of tonight's race here. And just a few moments from the green flag, what can you tell us about Daytona and these IR-18s?
Well, if yesterday was any indication, if yesterday was a dress rehearsal, then they would today's show should be extremely successful. And there, we went ahead and jinxed it. But yesterday in the DW12s, in a field that featured about 15 cars, 16 cars, they went caution-free for 90 laps. That is not unheard of for this league. In the very first race that they had here in VOR season, season 5. That was the first time they came here, and I was in that race, and that actually turned in, it was a caution-free race, and it turned into a fuel mileage race. So being caution-free here is not unheard of with these drivers in this league and these cars. The 12 race yesterday also kind of turned into a bit of a fuel mileage race. We're going 10 laps longer than we did yesterday. Yesterday, Patrick Savazzi made a two-stopper work. He was able to stretch his stints to 30 and 30 to make a two-stop race there. But the problem is he was sacrificing so much speed on the racetrack that the guys that made a three-stopper didn't have to really worry about saving, and they just kept their foot in it all race long, and they ended up catching him with about 2 laps to go, and then it kind of turned into a bit of a shootout right there. But you might also see arrow wash and arrow push. You wouldn't think on a big racetrack like this that you might even see that, but you will. And while we're here in the middle of this race and while we're waiting things to settle down and everything, there is a history of IndyCar running here. Back in 1959, IndyCar ran here for real in the USAC series. And you'll be surprised by some of the names that were actually in that race and how they actually relate to drivers today.
Well, right now, most times have been put in. It's going to be a very interesting story. Maybe we can dive a little bit deeper into it as the race goes on. One thing, we were talking about DW12 race yesterday on Race First. It came down to a lot of long-term strategy with drivers like Zilvazzi, Julian Altena, and the like. Dan Ench up to the top of the board, and he's going at 240 at the stripe here. Oof. These are very, very quick laps. 37 seconds, and I think his average speed is around 238, 239 the entire lap.
Yeah, that's a 239.557 on the pole. Murphy on the outside right now. 22 seconds left to play here in quals. Murph is a 239.4. Bonnie, he's up there as well. This is a great start for him. 239.1. Christensen at 239 flat. Points leader Miranda is 239 flat as well. And Julian, I believe, is going to try to do the worst from first challenge, because I think he's just not going to qualify and just kind of start from the back, which actually really is not a bad strategy here.
Well, it looks like with everyone set in time, save for final drivers, the final 5, it's time to get things going. Starting grid in formation here in the Black Magic Designs 400-kilometer. We'd like to thank Mark Murphy and the Black Magic Designs crew for coming aboard in the last moments to set this race up and make it something special. Mark today is going to be with us on the front row, so a good start there for the number 69 crew, but Dan Ench gets that pole position to 37.258, ahead by just about 19 thousandths over the aforementioned Mark Murphy. Alexander Bonnie going to be in third with John Christensen in fourth, and Bruno Miranda rounds out the top 5 on his return with Seb Kinder, position number 6. Pedro Blabel is in 7th with Liam O'Sullivan 8th, and it's Fyodor Dovchenko in 9th. Chris Scala, who broadcasted last week, rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, and as forementioned, Salvazzi, he's 11th. He was the fuel saver last week. Stock car driver Matt Wagner, 12th. He is lined up there with a 236.9. Josh Tucker, the winner yesterday, lining up 13th. Eric Mercado, who made an attempt at the ERL Big Indy 500. Didn't think he made it in, but he made a really strong effort, and I applaud him for that. He's going to be starting 14th with no speed. Strauss was also in the race yesterday. He's starting with no speed on 15th. Julian, he did the same thing yesterday, started from the back and went to the front. He is lined up 16th. Hugo Gallus, 17th. And not showing on my overlay, but will be lining up will be Jonas Weber. He was in yesterday's race and probably learned a little bit, so he's opting to start from the rear as well. So 18 cars getting ready to go at it. It's going to be some big speeds here. We might actually see in the draft a 250. It'll be close, but we might actually see one. We'll see.
So expecting perhaps the highest speeds we've seen at this circuit throughout the entire league. That's going to be exciting. Already, we're very close to 240 miles an hour on a single car lap. Maybe Avenge put down the absolute perfect lap that would have been possible, only half a mile an hour away, and the starting grid is rolling off of pit road. It's an exciting race, as it is Indianapolis, 2.5 mile circuit, but completely different in regards to those turns. Banking of over 30 degrees. It's something special here. Every time we head back to this circuit, this is the third event the IR-18 series has gotten this track for, and it's time to see what Dan Ench can do up in front. A few notable figures mired a little further back. Bruno Miranda going to be in 5th. Don't see Craig Forsyth, nor do you see some of the other championship contenders. However, you also have drivers like Joshua Tucker, Julian Altena, and a few returning drivers from tracks like Indianapolis, such as Jonas Weber. You see Hugo Gala is going to make it back, and exciting one here with the pace car half a lap away from turning down and in. It's a race unlike any other on the schedule, and we're getting set up to figure out how these drivers can handle the track in Daytona Beach.
Yeah, this is these guys will be, and if this does turn into a fuel race, and the assumption always is when you start an IndyCar race, it's going to turn into a fuel conservation or a fuel mileage race. That's always the assumption. You can't always assume there's going to be cautions because we've seen so many races thinking that there's going to be cautions. Like the first time we were here, there were a number of people that started from the pits because there was 25 cars on this field for that field, and we thought that they would just be binning it up, right away. And it just never materialized. So we kind of penalized ourselves starting from the pits. We were never, ever able to quite catch up back to the lead pack because of that. So you're going off the assumption that this is going to be a fuel mileage or fuel conservation at some point during this race. And they are trying to save a ton of it right here under the pacing lap. So we're getting ready to go green. The field is under the command there of Dan, and he is not wasting any time.
Welcome to the World Center of Racing. Dan Ench grabs the green flag, and for the first time in Daytona, we're green for the Black Magic Designs 400.
Everybody's being nice and well behaved. Bottom line coming in. Looks like Christensen's kind of hung out there on the high line. No big deal. There is a car that's going to try to come to him on the high line, but I think preferably Christensen would like to get down. If he can have one of his 4 teammates let him down and in there, he probably what he would like. He might fall back quite a bit, but again, you stay in the draft envelope here. It's about a second and a half. You're fine. You got nothing to worry about. A long race, 100 laps. Just be patient. The race will come to you here. Everybody's being nice and well behaved.
Right now, Dan Ench going to go up to the top side. Down low, Mark Murphy's going to take it. And I think maybe this early for Dan Ench, that is strategic. Because keeping in mind the fuel mileage numbers, maybe you don't want to be the leader right now. Pretty similar to Indianapolis in that sense. Maybe just trying to save up for the rest of the day. Let Mark Murphy get control in his namesake event. And the Black Magic, number 69, is now up to the front of the field. Alexander Bonney now second. And you're beginning to see, looks like Team Vor going up to the top side there. You look at... Looks like it's going to be Pedro with Julian and a few others now tailing on side by side so far. But everyone leaving each other a lot of room. And I think now everyone thinking more so about strategy. Bruno Miranda making a hard pursuit up. Will get by. We're not seeing laps faster than qualifying right now. A lot of drivers in the 220s, even the 210s in the back of the field for Chris Scala and Hugo Gallas. So right now, maybe not going to expect to see that all-out push. Instead, waiting for the remainder of this race. Doesn't look like it's going to be single file, but definitely not pushing full on.
And we should mention the weather. The track is hot, really hot. Probably one of the hottest tracks that they've seen all season, or right up there. 123-degree track temperature. And there we see one of the, that is Miranda's teammate, Miranda and his teammate, Bleibel. They're in identical cars. They're floating to the back. There we see Inch is also floating to the back right now. So everyone is now kind of assuming these Ryder eSport cars start to get in the line as well. Everyone's assuming that we're going to turn into a points or a fuel race. Julian, though, what did I tell you? He was right in the back, and all of a sudden the storm to the front. And he's joined there with the 77 last week's winner, or last night's, or yesterday's winner, actually. Seems like last night. Josh Tucker. And he's doing basically the same thing he did last time, wasting no time to get to the front.
Tucker going to be John Christensen right now. Looks like single file once again going to hold control. Julian fading a little bit further back, and it's been an up and down race. Everyone who's led hasn't gotten more than a lap or two out of it, and now another driver getting a chance up in front. 5 laps in already, and every lap has been within the 37 range for the leader so far. That was a 37.729 as Christensen now tries to stretch that lead a bit, going up to the high side and maybe bringing Tucker with him as Tucker decides to stay middle. It's going to be decked out, top to bottom for the leaders. Nobody else looks to be going neck and neck so far, but it's going to be Tucker now looking to the bottom side with the race lead, and now it looks like Christensen giving up his chance to be the top driver, and he'll fade back. So it looks like everyone getting about a lap or two and then stringing right back into order. All 17 drivers that took the start of this race are still within 2.5 seconds. No worry about being in the draft, just all about deciding who's the man who leads the field.
Yeah, and if you get on the in-car of Murphy, he is not really at 100% throttle, and you can tell not only by the sound of the car, but if you're not familiar with the sound, look at the lights on his steering wheel. That should be lit up completely and maybe even flashing blue at this point. He just barely got into the red, came off a little bit. Now he's just keeping it in the yellow, very consistent, right? So he is saving 100% saving fuel in the draft.
And it looks like the waiting game is already on. Mark Murphy, one of many examples, getting a little bit more than a red right now, and he is going to push harder.
There he goes. Yeah, he just shifted down to 5th, went into blue, got a little bit of a run, and then immediately shifted up to 6th, got the slingshot pass. Now he's the leader, and he's downshift the 5th, so he can keep the revs high because these cars will get bogged down in the corners a little bit. And now he's shifted back to 6th. I think he just kind of wants to get a little credit here for leading the lap and then probably want to fall back and get back in line. But it does you real no good here unless you want to just be on TV to bring your car up to the front this early and try to really say, hey, I want to lead them all, because you will just be expending fuel at a rate that others simply are not, and you will be the first to pit.
Back of the field, the advantage when it comes to strategy right now. 9 laps in and a very quick start. Most of the field, once again, single file. Might as well be the quickest single file racing we've seen this year. Patrick Zovazzi down in 10th. And when we talked about the race that we saw last night, it's all about Zovazzi trying a different strategy.
Murph just dropped.
Yep, Mark is out of this one, and it's a connection problem. We're trying to figure that out. It looks like
he did. Yeah, I think it's out. And we've also lost Doshenko. He was looks like he was going to try to be part of the lineup, and he dropped due to a packet loss. So I think we just lost Murph to a packet loss.
iRacing hasn't officially confirmed it, but Murphy is not back on the track, and it has been 30 seconds. So I think bad news for Mark Murphy and Fyodor Doshenko. Very similar situation. And as we now come down the back straightaway, we're going to get the final confirmation, but Murphy not with us here. And it looks like the number 69 from the front of the field now 1 lap down and effectively out of this race. We'll see if he rejoins, but with the way this race has gone so far, it's going to be a very, very steep uphill climb as Murphy tries to get back in it. At the line this time through, got ourselves a new race leader, Alexander Bonney, up to the top of the board, and Bonney now going to have a chance to lead his first laps of the season up in front.
That last lap for him, 2:34 flat. Bonney leading the freight train at the moment. He's going to go high down the backstretch. Here comes Joshua and the rest of the group. No, Josh's going to stay behind him. I think everyone's now going to concede that the gentleman, you go ahead and lead. No, sir, you go ahead and lead. No, I'll just let you be. And I'm not going to let you float to the back of the pack. I'm going to stay right behind you. So that's exactly what's going on. Everyone's conceding to stay in line, keep the fuel conservation going. Tucker could pull out and probably easily pass Bonnie, especially with the amount of space that he has between himself and Bonnie. He can get a good run, then really blow the doors off him if he needs to. Point is, where's he going to go? He can't hide. And Murphy connection dropped due to packet loss, yeah.
Yep, same error as what we saw for Fyodor, so a very similar cause of disconnection for Mark happened a little bit later. 3 laps down, so not voluntary. Maybe he'll come back here in the coming laps. As it stands, everyone going to be lined up and get set to keep moving. 12 laps in out of 100, and we discussed the potential for what could be a 3-stop strategy. The way things are looking, we're going to have a pit window of perhaps 30-some laps. It could be a little less, so if drivers don't want to risk it, we could be seeing some very early pit stops within the coming dozen. However, no guarantee of that right now, and I think for a driver like Dan Enshu, started all the way at the front of the field with that pole position. He's down to 13th of the 16 in this grouping, so he's not concerned at all about being the man up in front. I think right now, fuel is the big worry. Nobody going under a speed of about 220 right now, but still, everyone going at about 85% relative to what they really could do.
Yeah, and that's actually they are fuel limited here in terms of the capacity on the cars. They are not normally it's right about 18 gallons. They're going to be at 80% fuel, so they'll be right around 15 gallons. That's about the same that the DW12s have. Of course, it's the same tank size in the DW12 as the IR-18, same car. Just these are actually DW12s with the Universal 2018 Aero package on them. That's why I call them the IR-18. We're going to see a similar strategy, although I don't see the 2-stopper working today. I think the 3-stopper is the way to go. 4-stopper if you don't really care and you just want to keep your foot in it in the entire race. But I think the 3-stopper is the way to go. The 4-stopper isn't really going to open up here for another 10 laps. That's or a 4-stint, excuse me. That'll be a 3-stopper. So 25, 25, 25. But the problem is you need to have a dance partner that's going to adhere to that same strategy as you are. That's difficult to find sometimes. You really don't know, unless you have a teammate out there, what the guy in front of you is thinking.
Few of the teams are still going to be bunched up right now. Going to be John Christensen with Julian Altena and Pedro Lavelle. That's one big grouping up in front for Team 4. So maybe a little more help as the race goes on. And maybe they'll be able to stay up there in a bigger pack side by side further on, as you'll see Matthias Strauss, Matt Wagner, Dan Ench, and Eric Mikado all coming through. And largely going to be side by side for brief moments. Nobody really keeping it there for any extended portion, as now Strauss is right behind Wagner. And it looks like everyone settles back in. Overall, not many drivers playing that team game, but that could be a very, very important part of the race as we get down to that second half here. 16 laps in on a 17, so got a ways to go until we really figure out how important it is to stick together. But right now, you're starting to see some
high line.
Yep, all the way up top.
Yeah, I would thought that they would be on the low line, mainly because that's the shortest way around and that's the less fuel. But I don't think tire wear is going to be an issue here. I don't recall it ever being an issue here. In fact, I do suspect that we might actually see some cars come to pit road and go fuel only, especially maybe for a last stop. I don't think tire wear or tire management is going to be an issue. But there are some tricks that you could do in this car in the cockpit to make yourself faster. Really, because of the banking and and just the generated aero downforce that you have anyways, you don't have need for the tools in these cars very much. Maybe later in the run when the tires are well worn and you're pretty light and if you're behind somebody, the air might get dirty and kind of give you an aero wash. But you really don't the adjusting the roll bars, and if you're handling bad, adjusting the roll bars and the weight jacker on these. If you're handling bad on Daytona, it's probably not going to really correct you. You might have some other damage on the car. So what you do is you want to take the weight jacker and just slam it to minus 20. And what that does is that lowers the right rear spring, and it gets that right rear portion of the wing, that's the rear wing there, out of the air a little bit more, and it's a little less drag. So these guys that know what they're doing are playing games right now with their weight jacker and trying to keep it in the negatives to keep the wind off the right rear portion of the car, or lower in the wind.
Alexander Bonney getting really comfortable up in front. Don't think he's too concerned about the strategy aspects, and instead is just trying to lead these laps.
Get some TV time. You earned it.
Getting the breakaway up in front of the field right now, about the biggest gap we've seen. Bonney definitely trying to get these laps in, get that attention, and maybe balance it out with our second stint here. Of course, there's still a lot of laps on the table when you think about the fuel strategy, so you don't have to worry as much right now, maybe. I think a lot of drivers are looking for the later part of the race to be more comfortable, but if you want, you could start leading laps and get that advantage early, although I think everyone else is much more comfortable riding at a little bit of a slower pace further back and not fighting for the win. Right now, 21 laps in, that's the move. A few drivers going right up top, trying to carry that momentum down the straightaway and get a little more speed naturally there, but overall, no major changes, and it's one long line taking us down the super stretch from Chris Scala in 16th all the way up. Most drivers look to be getting themselves set for maybe pit stops in the coming 10 laps.
So as we mentioned, not a lot of going on the racetrack. This is going to be this is, like I said, it's a fuel race until it's assumed otherwise. So we're not going to see a lot of door-to-door or wheel-to-wheel, wing-to-wing action going on right now at this portion during the race. So hey, I'll give you a chance. I'll give everyone a chance to hear kind of what about the history of IndyCars at Daytona. The IndyCars have run here before, back in 1959, back when the track was brand spanking new. In fact, one of the very first events that they ran here, other than the Daytona 500. The pole was won by Dick Rathman, which is a famous name in IndyCar lore, with a speed of 173.210 miles per hour in a Curtis-designed Offie-powered roadster with skinny tires. Yeah, skinny tires. So, by comparison, that season for the Indy 500, which was the other largest track that the IndyCars ran at that season, Johnny Thompson won the Indy 500 pole with a speed of 145.908 miles per hour. So there's a difference of almost 30 miles per hour between the fastest speed in Indianapolis and the fastest speed here at Daytona. That might as well be 100 miles per hour based upon the safety and the driver, what he had available to him to survive a crash at the time in these cars. Chances are he didn't have any eye protection. Chances are he had probably a very thin helmet on. Chances are probably wasn't wearing a fire suit. Probably wasn't even wearing gloves. Maybe had gloves. Chances are probably wasn't wearing fire retardant boots. They were really sticking it out on the line at 173 miles per hour here. That is a light speed fast in those cars at that time in that period of race car development. The race was won by Jim Rathman. That's Dick's brother, who led 35 of only 40 laps here. So it was only a 40 lapper. Three-time Indy 500 winner Roger Ward finished second. Had this kind of up-and-coming driver in the lineup named A.J. Foyt. He finished eighth. Also in the lineup was Tony Bettenhausen and the Clown Prince of Auto Racing. Oh, Bonnie coming to pit road. So he's going to be the first to bite here, early 24. So he's going to go 25, 25, 25. I think he's made the decision that he's going to do a three-stopper for sure. Coming to pit road. Doesn't think he's sped. Going up on the jacks. Going to get new tires, get full fuel. Down and away. And he's done. So let's see where he comes out with the field. Right now the field starting to come into the tri-oval area. At the start-finish line now. He's in turn one. Tucker on pit road. So a good fast stop by Bonnie. He's going to be out in front of the pack. So the hope for him is that he needs to be up to speed, and he catches Tucker in about turn one, turn two, or in the backstretch, and then he'll have a draft partner. And just a reminder, the pit road speed for these cars, 60 miles an hour. Here's Bonnie on the backstretch. And there you see right in front of him is Tucker. So hopefully he can catch Tucker and he'll have a dancing partner.
Now we got both drivers coming with each other. You see Bonnie there, Joshua Tucker, a little bit of distance, but it looks like Bonnie now within 2 seconds. So there's a chance to pull right back in. Two drivers down to pit road here, and Liam O'Sullivan and Matt Wagner up in front, and a few more decide
here comes
to go down.
Christensen down pit road. One of the Ryder Esports entries is coming down pit road. I think that's Weber.
Dan Ench decides to come in as well. So now 3 drivers make their way in. Biggest pack through so far.
Okay, so Inch and Christensen are going to split the VOR team, Altena Autosport team strategy. They're going to go short, and it looks like Julian is going to go long. Julian's right now by himself. It's not going to have a dance partner. I think there's only 3 of the team cars here, but he might pair up with one of these guys in front of him. Okay, here comes the rest of the field. Here comes the rest of the field. Look at them spread out, try to give each other room so they don't pile into the back of one another.
And Wagner's going to get right off of pit road, so he's going to have a penalty entering, and Liam O'Sullivan's going to be the first man to follow, but Wagner's in trouble, and he'll dive in immediately.
Yeah, it's really tough to bring these cars. Oh, got contact on pit road.
And multiple drivers missing their stalls.
Kinder, I think, had contact on pit road. Liam O'Sullivan, I think, is going to be the first one off. And we have cars we have cars on the track at a full head of speed. They're going to get around O'Sullivan. He's trying to pedal it hard on that pit access road there on the bottom on the apron, very slippery. And he's going to pop out right behind Bonnie and Tucker. So Bonnie has run down Tucker.
And Liam O'Sullivan might be next here. Top 2 drivers who went in early have gotten away, and now a few smaller packs overall. But just like that, it looks like O'Sullivan has caught up to Bonnie and Tucker, and a little bit more of the undercut strategy up in front. But now the drivers who just went in are on their way.
Yep. And Wagner has a purple lap, though. Actually, it's a 36.827. But unfortunately, he's going to get penalized with the pit road speed. So he's got a 40-second hold. And he's now rejoining, and he'll just kind of follow in line. Now what he needs or wants to hope for is now a caution. And maybe possibly he'll stay out, get the wave around. We'll see. But everyone looks like the majority of everyone is on the 29-lap, long run strategy, which isn't a bad idea here, really. Just let the tanks run dry and then pit. Go as long as you possibly can. They managed to almost save kind of what the DW12s almost did. It's a lot easier to save fuel in these cars versus the 12. The only way you can save fuel in the 12s is with your right foot there. That's feathering the throttle or just not being at 100%. Here in the IR-18s, at least you have engine mappings, fuel mappings that you can change to help save a little bit. So I guarantee all these cars, with the exceptions, probably those in the back, that's way in the back there trying to catch this main pack, are probably not even close to fuel map 1. They're probably in 2, 3, or 4 for that matter.
And it looks like now, overall, 9 drivers are connected up in front. Hugo Gales is about 4 seconds back, so it's going to be tricky for the second group to get back in front. Gales with Eric Mikado. Then you see Dan and Chris Scala and Kinder and Wagner on their own. But the big pack, smaller now, has gotten together again.
Well, Wagner's with this big pack, and now he's back on the lead lap because he is in front of Julian. Julian loves this because he's got a fast driver in front of him, and he's punching a hole in the air that Julian can save and still lead this race. So it's the best of both worlds. Getting his cake and eating it, too, at the front of the pack with stock car driver Matty Wagner punching a hole in the air for our leader.
Wagner deciding to stay ahead here, and no reason for him not to, just running with the pack and going to have a bit of an advantage relative to all the other lap machines who are going to get eventually put further down. Julian, great for the VOR team, who will look to be separate now. Looks like John Christensen still with them, and Pedro at the tail end of the pack. But like now it's that number 11 with a chance to get towed around, and no complaints so far for Julian and Liam O'Sullivan there in second. Bonnie is falling back into fifth, and it looks like Josh Tucker going to be in third right now as side by side Jonas Weber goes up top. First third of the race is down already, and so far we've seen a lot of more strategic racing, even in the green flag sense. Everyone getting ready for what's yet to come, and we know that, of course, that lap 90 to 100 stretch is going to be intense. But right now, getting ready for what is going to come from there. Just got to get through the first trials and tribulations. First pit cycle's out of the way. Now we're about 35 laps in, and we've still got about 2 to go.
So what that green flag pit stop did is it kind of separated out the field a little bit. You have the guys that really aren't used to coming to pit road that hot, probably conservatively hit pit road and kind of cost them some time. They're a little further back in the pack. This main group of drivers, pretty comfortable hitting pit road hot, hit pit road hot, and are still able to stay with each other right now. And then if we could make it to the next green flag stop, which will be 24 or 5 laps from now for this main group. We'll see if we shorten them any by any penalties or any incidents they have on pit road. The biggest portion of what happened on pit road during the DW12's race was people missing their stalls or not hitting their marks, which is very easy to do in these cars.
That's what we saw, of course, hit marks, pit road, and played a big role for Matt Wagner, but Wagner is still with the lead pack, just in a different sense. Catching up to Seb Kinder, who's going to be in 15th right now. Seb is about 23 seconds off the leaders. However, not running slow laps, and since Seb is pushing, he's actually going at about the same speed as everyone else. Quicker that time by than your leaders, only by 30 thousandths of a second, but he's still running the same pace just on his own. Going to take a big toll for the pit stop strategy, though, and not going to be easy to catch back up even at that same speed. It's a disadvantage, but Seb not going to be completely out the water and will have a chance to stay on the lead lap, at least for the next 20 or 30.
Yeah, he needs to hope for a caution back there. And so Gallus in 10th, Mikado at 11th, Inch. Bruno Miranda is back there too. He must not have had a good stop, and that's your points leader. We forgot it. We haven't really talked about points. We've been kind of talking about the IndyCar speed on a high bank NASCAR oval, and Miranda, your points leader, is back here in 12th. Probably expecting more cautions to happen, and it just hasn't happened. And he's very conservatively cost himself some time, it looks like. So he definitely, for sure, wants a caution here at some point, because he's not going to make it up on the racetrack, not that far back. Although he is starting to grab this second group with Gallus and Mikado.
38 laps in out of 100. Looks like Hugo Gallas and that second group are just still 4 seconds away from catching back up. No major changes. Bruno Miranda now going to go to the high side and look for a chance to lead this pack as it stands. Last time by 36.499 for Bruno Miranda, and he is moving. Matter of fact, I believe that was the fastest lap in this pack overall.
Yeah.
So it looks like Miranda's definitely making some moves now and not going to mess around. He's gained about 0.2 of a second to the back end of Patrick Zilvazzi. So if he wants to go, he's going to have to keep on moving here, because Zilvazzi's about 1.5 seconds slower at the very end. And Bruno now maybe a chance to pull everyone with him.
Yeah, Bruno's got to be at 100% burn here if he wants to catch this group. So he's not saving, and the desperation, and there's a little desperation here because he can't let that lead group get any further away. The desperation is showing because he has pulled out and around Hugo Gallas there in that car right behind him, and he's pulled out and around him and is wanting to lead the group, which means he's taking the brunt of all the air. And Gallus doesn't want to work with him right now, so Gallus like, nah, I'm going to do it. And I would, if I was Miranda and I could catch that group ahead with Gallus leading, I would tuck right back in. But no, Miranda wants to go.
And Bruno going to jump up into the high side again. It looks like this is a bit of a back and forth, which is costing them some time to
the tail end
of the field.
Oh, and he's lost 2 spots, then 3 spots. Maybe he might even got the wall a little bit that we didn't see, but now that's really costed him.
So Miranda now going to be sent all the way back, and overall his group just lost about 0.5 seconds at at the same time. So bad news for the drivers outside the top 10, as it looks like their chances have been significantly diminished. All the while, Julian has remained our leader and has decided to stay right behind Matt Wagner, providing a huge service to the entire field.
Yeah, he's not going to move. Now, that second group back where Miranda was, if Gallas and Mikado can do some swap drafting, leapfrogging, as we call it sometimes, and then the third and fourth and fifth cars in line there, they just will stay in the draft and get pulled along. If they could do some of that, they could probably narrow down that group. But I don't think they're going to be able to get to that group in time for the next pit stops coming up. And they're racing again back there, so they really, really need to get in line and cooperate.
Stands are actually going to lose about a full second now. Dan Edge is going to be the new leader of this group, and it looks like the chance to get back up there is really fading fast.
Yeah, everything they gained with Bruno leading the way, they've lost now, so they got to build that ball back up again. They were down, to 4 seconds, and now they're 6 seconds behind. So, yeah, that's a big loss of time.
Another change. Chris Scala now getting a chance. I think they're trying everything now.
Yeah, I think Chris, if he would, he knows, very familiar with the World Center of Speed here at Daytona. He calls a majority, he calls stock cars, so he's very, very familiar with the stock car strategy here. He knows racecraft, and if he could probably get Inch to work with him, I think they could probably reel this group back in, but they all have to definitely 100% work together, and there's Bruno on the top side, so I don't know. I would be in line. I'd be on the radio screaming at people to get in line because they're not going to make it up on the pit stop. That's for sure. Maybe a little bit, but not a lot. They're not going to make up 6 seconds.
See Bruno there trying to get another chance. They've gained back 0.3 of a second, but it's just not consistent enough. It's been up and down again, and that's been the real troublesome point of this second pack. No clear leader, or maybe no clear structure, that is. And with that being said, it's just going to be continued downward spiral until it's all figured out. And I don't think it's going to be figured out naturally. Becoming trickier and trickier here with Julian up in front and the leaders being towed around. They haven't had to worry one bit. Meanwhile, these drivers are fighting so hard, and there's a chance they don't even get back up there. It's been a 17-lap run for your leaders on this stint, and looks like most of the field in that same strategy. So we're getting close again to pit stop time.
Yeah.
And we're about 8 laps away at the very most, which means these drivers got to figure it out quickly if they want to get back up there, and it looks like it's going to become very hard if they don't.
Yeah, the first car is the bite that we're going to see is going to be Tucker in third, Bonnie in fourth. They were the first two to go last time. Tucker came in. He did 20 laps on his run. Bonnie did 21 on his run. So they are, they did stint one, Tucker did 25 laps on his first run. Bonnie did 24. So Tucker's 21 laps into that run. So he's got 4 more laps, give or take. Probably more since he's been in line most of the time. And Bonnie is 22 laps into this stint versus the 24 he did on his first stint. And he's been in line most of the time. So I think they could go a little bit longer, but not much more than a lap or two.
That being said, we're getting close to that point. So if we look further back, it's actually gotten back to a 4-second distance.
Yeah.
So Bruno's pulling together again, but it's just got to be figuring out with the rest of the field here. Chris Scala getting a chance to get a good run. If we ride on board, Chris now, full on at 6th gear, getting a run, pushing it into the blue. So now going to take a turn. It looks like Bruno and Chris might be the duo that get this second pack together. And Bruno now going to lie back as Chris uses that monster run out of turn 2 to get the jump. 3.8 seconds here. It looks like the fight is on, and they've decided that it's going to be Chris and Bruno pulling it together.
And a little note about Chris Scala. You could thank Chris Scala for me being here in the booth with you today. He is the one that gave me my start at iRacing broadcasting.
Chris, of course, we mentioned how he helped us out when it came to last week's presentation, and Chris is a frequent over at Captain Esports Network and worked with VOR for several seasons, coming back to drive today, and of course a great thing to have had his services and bringing you along the way, and today getting a chance to get back inside the cockpit, and it looks like now 3.4 seconds, there is a gain in progress.
Yeah, they're gaining. They are. You can physically see. I'm riding along with Chris right now on my cams, and I can physically see them getting it closer to that group. And I do want to give a shout out to stock car driver Matty Wagner. You want to know what his purple lap time was? Well, the purple lap time was 36.057. That might mean nothing to you unless you know how to do that conversion in your head really quick to what that speed is. The speed, 247.529 miles per hour.
Wagner flying, and it looks like right now he's still up there. No doubt if he was able to pull it all together better early, he might be up there fighting for the lead. Seb Kinder down and in after a 20-lap stint, so it's going to be a short one for Kinder, and the 97 will drop in early. Leaders are coming right by as we speak. Wagner going to
and Miranda in early. Miranda is in early, too. Miranda, he went 28 on his first stint. He could only do 21 because that's what a full burn does. So maybe he's thinking that he can get a shorter fill and do the under. We'll see. I think that's maybe what he's trying to do.
Down and in for Miranda, going to miss his
stall. He missed the spot. Oh, and he really missed the spot.
Wow.
That's going to cost him. Anything that he hit the gain on pit road, gone.
And Bruno Miranda, all the sacrifices made to help out with that second pack, and it's going to all be shoved down.
That's done. Yep.
Wow, that's a huge loss. And Alexander Bonney now down and in, going to take Matt Wagner, Dan Ench. They come together just like that. Pit road busy, a group of three making it in.
Yeah, this is really, I mean, I don't want to jinx Julian. We're only halfway through, but Julian's second in the points. This is really working out in Julian's favor. We said when we talked about the remainder of the season coming up that this would be the wild card race. And I would suspect that Bruno coming into this one was probably a little tepid at this one as well. And not to say that he's normally a tepid driver. I mean, hell, he just won the Area 51 Indy 500 just a couple weeks ago. So we know that he's very good, but he just, for whatever reason, the strategy has not gone his way in this race today.
And Julian with a perfect chance to rebound and potentially collect the win as a result. That would really flip the rest of the championship upside down. Very little time left. We made it past Indianapolis. We've moved on to Daytona, and the schedule is, of course, eventually going to have to wind down. And ahead of us right now, which you got to look forward to, past Daytona, 2 more events, the Suzuka Grand Prix and then the California 500, a 156 lap event, and that's going to be that season table. Come through with 2 more races. So all down to this, Julian with a chance to get the momentum rolling to finish off the campaign, and right now doing a good job of just that with Liam O'Sullivan, Jonas Weber, John Christensen, and the like, all keeping tabs on one another. There's 47 laps to go. We put ourselves in the second half.
Wagner is hooked up with Bonnie and pulled away from Julian. Julian and that whole group, or at least with teammates, is coming down. Here comes Savazzi. Savazzi's smoking. He's going to hit the back of... Christensen had to see him coming because if I would have seen him coming in my rearview mirror, I would have been panicking. I thought he was going to hit him, but Savazzi probably, I think he hit the grass a little bit. It's going to cost him time. Hits the marks, so hopefully he didn't lose a lot of time here on pit road. Weber, O'Sullivan, Strauss, those Ryder Esports guys, they're all lined up. They're all going to try to maybe go a little bit longer. We'll see. Nope. One's going to stay out. 2 are coming home.
O'Sullivan, Weber, very close there.
So Strauss now, this is lap 27 for him. He went 28 the first time. So he is going long once again, and Pedro right behind him, doing the exact same strategy. He went 27 or 28 the first time. He's on 27. Weber exactly went 27-27. So he is on the same. So these guys are all on the same schedule. They weren't really able to save very much on this stint.
Matthias Strauss now going to come through Pedro and close there, but no trouble. And that's a 27-lap stint as well. So we should be looking at, for the leading contenders, 1 more pit stop.
Yeah, hopefully. So Bleibel in, Strauss in, Weber on the backstretch, coming up the speed, kind of going to get freight trained here a little bit, but he's going to be by the time he's up the speed, he will be with this group. Julian will get the lead back more than likely. Ooh, Tucker, not much of a gap there, but slides it in nevertheless. He had the old Brazilian clear. Christensen worked his way up into 5th after that near miss on pit road with Savazzi. Savazzi cost him some time, but he's at least with a second group. And Matty Wagner's now back there with him. He had to stop, unfortunately, so he is now down a lap. But we know he's fast, so he'll pull that group forward. And Matthias and Bleibel come out, or at least I think Strauss is going to come out ahead of this group. But Bleibel just a few seconds slower, so he's going to get sucked up in the middle of it.
Close call there, looking at 3 wide with John Christensen, Weber, and Pedro Bleibel.
Yeah,
that could have been much worse, but everyone keeps it together, and now everyone's trying to get back in orderly fashion. Looks like it's about 10 drivers are still connected. Chris Scala making a jump up now to the lead pack, it appears, and Bruno Miranda now going to be 6.5 seconds off with that second group. So all of a sudden, a different picture up in front. A few drivers that have made their way in, and Matt Wagner still racing around the leaders. He's not the driver doing the towing here. Instead, it's Matthias Strauss lead his first laps of the day.
Yeah, Scala, an awesome job. I mean, he was 4 seconds back, 6 seconds back. Now he's with this group. So that was a great job getting on and off pit road really fast and to get up into this group. Remember, he was with Inch and Miranda, and they're just now crossing the start-finish line right now, while Scala and his guys are in turn 2 getting ready to go down the backstretch.
Coming down that back straightaway here, inside line, going to be dominant. Few drivers, Zilvazzi and O'Sullivan further back, trying something, but getting back in order. 42 laps to go. Leaders are set to go for just one more pit stop. And that being said, we've gotten past the early stages of this race, and now moving on to what could be the most intense portion. Everyone getting ready again. Matt Wagner decides to take back the role of the tower, and up there doing his service and currently still on the lead lap as a result. 15th, not the best of days for this 54 crew, but overall staying on the lead lap is a big deal and helping out all these drivers along the way. I'm sure they're very thankful for the chance to save more of that, which will mean it's not much a struggle to get there till the end. Matt Wagner in 15th, 38 seconds behind your leader, and just about a car length ahead at the same time. As stay there, Julian's back up in front, 60 laps in. Everybody's single file and coming across the stripe.
Yeah, Matt's wanting a caution. That's the only way that he's going to be able to get back in contention. Some yellow flag, something that's going to allow him to cycle back.
Hasn't gotten it yet. Still got to keep on going for a chance to get there. And right now, 40 laps remaining in the Black Magic Designs 400. Joshua Tucker is going to be now up to 3rd. Looks like he's made his way back inside of the podium, so a good gain there. And how about a few other drivers we haven't looked at? 18th to 4th, Jonas Weber, a big move. Everyone from 4th on up has started outside the top 10, 3 of which started outside the top 15. Matthias Strauss 15th, matter of fact. Julian 16th. Jonas Weber dead last to 4th, so it's been a gain day for the drivers who started in the back. Your pole sitter Dan Ench is about 5.5 seconds behind. However, that's a gain because he was about 6.5 seconds behind previously. So Bruno now dedicated to getting them all back up there, and it looks like that's what he's looking exactly toward.
I remember Altena, Strauss, and Weber. They all decided to do the no qual and just start back there. That tells you how the draft works here. As long as you stay in it, you are in contention. Sometimes, and you've seen these stock car races here where a stock car just kind of gets stalls out, can't really do anything because they're either a good pusher or a good being pushed. These IRL or these Indy cars, not IRL cars, Indy cars are do the same job equally as well. We don't necessarily do any pushing. We push a bubble of air in front of the car that can help the car in front go a little bit quicker. But the hole it punches in the air is more than sufficient for the car behind to just slide on up and keep the same pace. So you really don't have an issue with these Indy cars. Hey, I can't suck up into the pack, or I'm only good pushing somebody. It's all the same here. So also I wanted to talk about that 1959 Indianapolis or the IndyCar race here. Not only in the lineup was AJ Foyt, but Tony Bettenhausen. That's the father of the Bettenhausen family there. he was in the lineup. Eddie Sachs, the clown prince of auto racing, he was in the lineup. 1956 Indy 500 winner Pat Flattery, he was in the lineup. And there was also another driver named Elmer George. So, does the name George sound familiar? Well, yeah, kinda, if you're really down with IndyCar history. Tony George. Elmer George married into the Holman family. That is Tony George's father. And that is Ed Carpenter's step-grandfather. So he was in that first race here in Daytona as well. Unfortunately, the race was marred by the death of a three-time USAC Champ Car winner, George Amick. So when it came time, when USAC actually said that we would commit to the track with Papa France, he said that they would come for two races. They would do an opener, and they would come back for July 4th weekend. Well, after the race, these drivers like, nope, not coming back. The technology of the track at the time was so advanced that they exceeded really the safety of the cars. The drivers knew that. They knew that they were sticking it out there. There was a fatality on the track, at least one fatality on the track. Drivers were not very feeling safe, much like in the 1969 Talladega 500 with NASCAR, where they said that they were going too fast, and the drivers did a strike. Drivers kind of did the same thing. Go to USAC, say, nope, we're not doing it. So USAC sanctioning body comes back to Papa France, says, we're not coming back in July. Well, by that point, Papa France was already selling tickets and promoting that there was going to be a race July 4th weekend. So in the void of IndyCar not being here for July 4th weekend, that is the creation of the Firecracker 400. So NASCAR, you are welcome. We gave you the Firecracker 400.
You know, it's a shame we don't often see these types of wheel cars come down to Daytona any longer for anything more than test or exhibition events.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun. It's dangerous, I guess you could say. Of course, that's a big worry, 240 miles an hour and then some, but it always seems to be an exciting challenge. And taking it on virtual, we've seen just that. 33 laps to go now, 68 laps in. Second pack is gaining and gaining big. They're 2.8 seconds back. It looks like Dan Ench and Bruno Miranda have put down that recovery train real quick, and there might be an opportunity to stick it back together before we get down a pit road cycle, which is still to be anticipated within the next 10 or 15 laps. So not all hope is lost here. There's a chance everyone's connected by race end.
Yeah, if IndyCar were to ever come here for real, I would suspect, I think these cars could handle the international road course. I think they could. They did come down here in 2006 and 7, I believe, for spring training and a compatibility check. Sorry, the bullpen calling. They did a compatibility check of the cars on the track, and they did 2 summers down here where they raced on the moto course portion of the road course, which is what the bikes run on. They weren't on the IMSA portion or the sports car portion. And they did pretty good. They just never came back. So I don't know. My feeling is it'd be extremely doubtful to ever see these cars here. But if they did, it'd probably be in the road course function of it. Much like the same way that if they ever went back to Charlotte, it'd probably be on the Roval and not on the oval itself. And they'll put on just as good of a show. And we've seen here on race first coverage of the FIS and some other leagues that we've done, where they've put these cars on the IMSA road course, and they were some pretty good races because there was so much of it on the oval. It really kind of turned into a pack race on a road course, and that's a lot of fun to watch, something different. And this second group has caught the first group.
Everyone's together now. You see Bruno Miranda up there, Bonnie, Ench, Hugo Gallas, all connected. So we have of everyone in the field, all but one driver connected. Seb Kinder running on his own. Matt Wagner's 1 lap down, but still riding with the leaders. And now the rest of the field has a chance to play the game of fighting for the win with 30 laps to go. Bruno Miranda and the like will probably have to come down to pit road a little bit earlier as a result of that hard charge up, but either way, we're tied up, and it looks like now is a chance for every driver to fight for the checker. Christensen coming to the line again, leads the way. Julian Alton, his teammate, running right there in the second spot. And it looks like now swapping down to the inside, Julian going to make the pass for the race lead. Teammates working together up in front, a huge deal at Daytona. And I think now, Gary, that we're coming closer and closer to the end. It's going to be a very challenging race if you don't have anyone with you. And Team VOR might be at the biggest advantage.
Yeah, numbers have advantage here, especially if you can use a teammate. And they are together up front. They've worked together a number of times. Christensen's racecraft has come a long way, and kind of the tutelage of Julian there has helped him out a lot. I'm sure they're working together on a radio channel. Now, the other thing is they're going to have, they could have possibly another team right behind them. If Weber can get it to Strauss, then you'll have the Ryder Esports guys up there kind of working with, so it'll be a little bit more even terms, 2 versus 2. Right now it's 2 versus 1 with Strauss in the disadvantage. I think everyone's still trying to hit this last numbers. I don't think we're going to see a lot of racing.
I think that's going to be the case here for the final stretch of this run anyway. Maybe lap 80, 85, we get everything cycled out and we start going full on again, but that's not what we're seeing for the time being. 74 laps through, most drivers are still hanging around, getting themselves set up for what is next. The big concern is just getting there to kick things off. Then from there, well, hopefully we see a little bit more of that action at the tail of it. And Gales, Miranda still at the tail end now, saving big. You're right on board with Bruno, and he finds himself in 6th, running in the middle of the yellows here. So you know he's saving for certain just to dive down and in. So Bruno now down for his last pit stop, and he's going to have to make it a good one. Oh, is that going to be a penalty?
Uh-oh.
That was very close. He went off the track, but did he go fully enough to be considered out of pit road?
We'll see when he hits his stall, if he gets held there.
This could be tricky. No, Bruno's on the way.
And taking a look on board right out with them, so they're going to have that's an advantage for Miranda.
Oh, that was unbelievably close. We ride on board here, and you see that tight, about an inch. That really made the difference, and he gets lucky. No trouble. Goes on the way. Matt Wagner now going to come down and in to pit road. The lapper makes his way through, and everyone's settling in for the final pit stops. And Bruno, wow, what a close call. As you see side by side for the lead again. Final pit stops are now in motion, and we're getting steady for the last cycle. Single file up at the front of the field. Leaders are still taking us through, and by the time we hit that 20 lap to go marker, I figure we're going to see many more drivers opting down and in. We haven't seen that just yet, but there's a high probability of drivers going through within the next few laps here. You see a few of those lappers who are on the way. There's Dan Ench. A little bit further ahead is Bruno Miranda, and while they're about to track back, they should be able to catch up to the leading group now with all the work done in those 2 stints. It took the better half of 40 laps to get back up there, but now there's a real possibility for Miranda maybe to fight back in it, even though Julian, all things considered, has held just about full control, only to see Jonas Weber jump up.
Yeah.
And Weber's looking for the advantage down to pit road, I'd figure.
The Ryder Esport guys are now teaming up, but the thing is, they got to get in the position where they can get down to the bottom lane and get to pit road, and there's no reason for Christensen and Julian to let Jonas in at all. I mean, there's no courtesy there whatsoever, no need to be. So Weber is probably good to just crack the throttle just a tick, get back behind Julian, fall in line in front of Liam. Here comes the back of the pack. Bonnie and Gallus are coming to pit road for their final stop. But right now, Weber is about 5 laps from his stop. Julian is about 2 laps probably from his stop. We'll see if he went longer this time. He went 26 laps last time. He's at lap 24 now. Christensen went 27 last stint. He's at 24 now. Weber went 28 his last stint. He's at 23 now. So within a very short hair time here, these guys are going to be hitting pit road. So Weber Not sure why he's kind of fight. Here comes the VOR team. Yep.
And now down in, going to be a big group in here. It's going to be a pack of 5 making it in.
Oh, Scala.
Oh, it's close again. Scala.
So he got in there though. He was nice and safe. Tucker was on the outside. Chris really didn't have much to do. Chris almost stopped short.
Getting lucky there.
Julian down and away. Tucker down and away. Christensen down and away. Tucker is stuck behind Christensen. Christensen not as fast as Tucker wants to be on the apron. So Julian kind of a little bit to pull away. Here comes, and one of the VOR cars is going to be there as well with Inch. That's going to help Julian.
So now we're getting everyone filed back together. There's Dan Ench, there's Julian Altena, and they are together for the first time in this race. All of a sudden, Miranda and company, who went for that very, very avant-garde strategy to say the least. 7 seconds down, pushed hard, barely got there before the cycle began, and all of a sudden, with 20 laps to go, they might be the drivers with the lead by the end of this pit cycle. We're still waiting on 5 more. Weber, O'Sullivan, Strauss, Babel, and Eric McConnell.
Okay.
But when they all go down and in, it looks like this second group is already set to take over.
Yeah, the pace is really going to pick up now. They don't have to stop anymore. There should be final stops. So it's going to be push, 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 full burn. You're going to see laps, most of the laps in the 240s and higher. So here is all of the Ryder Esports team coming to pit road. This is a great call on their part. All come together. Now, they got to be telling each other, going down pit road, hit your marks. You cannot slide through your box. You cannot go short. Hit your marks. So Jonas is on his good. Matthias Strauss on his good. Sullivan, almost went long, but it looks like he is at least within the workable area. He is done, and they are down the way. So they're all going to they came on, and now they're all coming off together. So that's going to be very beneficial for them to work together here. That will even make that group a little bit faster.
2 drivers left, and the rest of the field charging hot. You see there, Julian's got his company and making it through. Alexander Bonnie's leading a second group right now. It's about 3 seconds off, and we'll see if they can replicate the magic of Bruno Miranda and Chris Scala, who got it done before. It's not impossible, but the distance is definitely tricky to make up. Eric McConnell down and in. Pedro, the final driver here. I think this rate, he's on its final lap.
Yeah, and he needs to get into a spot where he can get down. There he goes. And he is 27 laps on his stint, so I would imagine his tank is pretty light. There's that extra turn over the yellow line. Coming to pit road. Get down, get woed, get woed, get woed. Ooh, it's real close.
Hey, well, luckily no trouble there. We'll see if he makes his stall, but all things considered, your final driver to take a pit stop is down and in. Eric McConnell already did so. Now Pedro is clear. He's going to make it in easily there, and as such, pit stop cycle completed. That should be it for the race. Now time to fight for the win.
And now I told you, those Ryder Esports guys all together, and there they are right there. And this is the battle for, they're going to pass Pedro on the pit road out. And they're all grouped together. Now this is when it turns into, this is where we get into where we're going to get that big wreck and that caution. When they're going to be running this close together. These cars, very, very easily, and Pedro was out in front of this group. Now, here's the bad thing. He's by himself. Where he places his car is going to impact the opposite line. The opposite line is going to be able to go right by him, and the line that he's in front of is going to have to slow down. Christensen, Brazilian clear in front of Weber.
Now Pedro going to have to go up to that top side, got out in front, but no help there, and his teammate's going to instead take the race lead. Christensen with the advantage on the bottom. Jonas Weber right up top. They're side by side now through 3 and 4. And all of a sudden, a different look up ahead. Looks like Team VOR going to have that bottom side together, though. So there's some teamwork coming into play now with what's going to be 14 laps remaining.
And just for clarification and watching at home, I don't think Pedro is part of. On the outside, Weber, there had to be a papers worth of room there. Forced his way through. I was getting ready to say, I don't think Pedro is part of VOR anymore, but I know he's in the VOR in livery on your screen. On mine, he's in the same livery as Miranda. I think they're teammates now. So I think the VOR cars are Christensen and Altena in this case. Then the esports cars are Weber, O'Sullivan, and Strauss. Tucker's IAR, he's by himself. And then Bruno and Pedro, which are now a car apart, are on a team as well. And Bruno has got himself back up into this mess here. So where he was early in the race, strategy was not good to him. Strategy's got him back into this thing. He worked really hard. So let's see that he can bring it home and capitalize on a big lead in the points and making it bigger. But right now, Julian is 3 spots in front of him. And right now, Julian might actually gain some ground in the points battle. But we have a very hectic 10 laps to go here, where these guys on the bottom want to keep it pinned there, and the guys up top want to pinch everybody down on the bottom.
And looking at what we have left in this race, I'd have to ask here, when it comes to the drivers who don't have a team, maybe Josh Tucker, for instance, right now, nobody work with, what is it going to take for a driver like him to get up there and snag that race lead and maybe go for the win, even if he doesn't have help in this situation? What's it going to take to...
He needs an opportunity to happen in front of him. And then if that doesn't, he needs the manufacturer's opportunity, which possibly means, if that middle lane opens up like you saw right there, maybe suck up into that hole, try to get go 3 wide in the middle. The guy on the outside is the one really at the disadvantage there. Or if he gets desperate in hours when we're getting down to only a couple laps to go, maybe try the high side. And that's where he's looking right now, going into 2 or going into 3 down the backstretch. So you got to manufacture your own opportunity. He's got no one to help you, no one to punch a hole for you, no one to follow through. Maybe he does decide to hook up with one of these Rider esports cars. If maybe say like Christensen makes an issue where he has to check up or something, and the esports car goes around him. Maybe he follows the esports and fills in that hole. I don't know, but you have to manufacture or find some luck here.
Right now with 10 laps to go, it's time is of the essence, so if you want an opportunity, you got to look for it now. Double file is common now. We saw it a few times previously, but all of a sudden, you see every driver making their way through. It looks like if you want to fight for it, you got to make the pushes. Early on, we saw that single file racing was carried over for the first 60, 70 some laps. That's not the case any longer. It is aggression from here, and we're now 92 laps through, and drivers are still pushing each other to wit's end.
Yeah, everybody that time by 236 for Weber, 236 for Christian, 236 for Christian or Bleibel, 236 for everybody's right there in that 236 window. There's really not much anyone separate. Strauss had a little extra room and got a bit of a run on somebody. He got 237. There's that 3 wide run I told you to look for. There it is. And there he goes right in front of Christensen, and that's what I was talking about with Tucker. Thanks for making me look smart there, Josh.
Tucker
here comes Christensen. He's thinking to the high side now. Now Tucker to the bottom. Brazilian clear on Weber. And we see from the pits, Mark Murphy said, whole house internet died.
And Murphy, unfortunately, not able to continue, the only retiree of the day. As a result, everyone else has kept going. It looks like Seb Kinder now coming down into pit road for the final time. That'll put him 3 laps down. 3 wide now for second. That's Liam O'Sullivan up to the top side, and I think he's got eyes on the prize. Top spot he's looking for, but he just can't get there. He stays locked up top, and Team VOR now coming with Christensen there, and not to mention Julian Altena, who led much of the middle portion of this race. 7 laps to go, and we are getting wound up quick.
Yeah, much like stock cars here, that third line, you don't want to be there. Now, stock cars could beat and bang each other a little bit, not lose momentum. You beat and bang here, you're causing a big one. So 3 wide for Indy cars doesn't work. Weber on the bottom there. He's glued to the yellow line. So is Tucker. So there's going to be no passing on the low side. Christensen, he's sticking it out up there. The problem is it's not the fastest line around here. He needs to get down to the bottom or maybe get a car in front of him. But I don't see Tucker leaving the bottom. He did exactly what I thought he would do on the outside. And then he, just as once he got cleared, he slammed the door, went to the bottom. And he's trying to bring it home now, do 2 in a row. Win yesterday, win today.
And now 6 laps remain to perhaps go for the double. Side by side, 95 laps through, and it looks like the rest of the field still laying back, looking for opportunity. This is the most important portion of the section. Comes to this race. We've gotten past the pit stops. Now we're at that final stint, but this is the end of the end. So if you got to make it through here, you got to get more aggressive. Up to the high side, you see drivers looking at the top, looking at the bottom as well. Tucker still got it on the bottom side. He's got now John Christensen up top. Jonas Weber going to be on the bottom with Julian here. And Team Bruno. I think they're pushing it now.
Yeah, and Bruno will take it 3 wide. There's no question in my mind that he will take it 3 wide. He'll either in the middle or on the outside. And now Brazilian cleared right in front of Sullivan.
4 laps remaining. We've got 97 deep so far, still side by side, and you got to wonder when someone's going to make that move that pushes us even further past where we are.
All right, now Julian. Now it's at some point, loyalty's in, and Julian now sees his chief rival right off his right rear. Left rear. So at some point, Julian's going to say bye-bye to Christensen, and it's going to be every man for themselves. And we are almost there. I'd say at next lap, it's every man for himself. Julian is thinking about that outside line. He's thinking it. He's thinking it's going to take a look. And if Christensen gives him room, Julian will take it. Dan Inch now moving up into this battle. So he's recovered very nicely from kind of a mid-race where he was marred further on back. Okay, here we go. I think all bets are off at this point. No more friends.
2 laps remaining. We've gotten to the point where it's all or nothing for every driver. Joshua Tucker going to have that advantage here, and you'll see up top. Well, it looks like John Christensen still has his teammate right there with him. Side by side, working down the back straightaway all over again. Julian going to be with Pedro Blebel side by side, and Matthias Strauss has Bruno Miranda right there with. It's a total now of 12 drivers. It's the top dozen up at the front of the field, and they are going to stay together until the very end. White flag this time by. It'll be an official caution-free race from flag to flag for 400 kilometers. White flags out in a black Magic Designs 400. Tucker going to find himself still working that bottom side, keeping it there all the way low. Christensen's got a teammate behind him, so not much reason to worry, at least so far. It comes down that back straight all over again. It is Tucker, Christensen, Weber, and
I
now
told you there was going to be a 3 wide. There it is.
Wide.
I told you he was going to do it. And now we're 3 wide. We're looking at start at the Indy 500. 1 car in the wall. Miranda the outside. I told you he was going to go on the outside. I knew it.
There goes Bruno Miranda right up to the high side with Christensen working the middle. 3 wide coming to the line, but the 44 Rexon wins.
I think Christensen got the nose across when he got. There's the big one, but I think he knows that it went when whoever caught him and turned him got the nose around. And I got to watch the replay on this one.
John Christensen by 11 1/1000ths of a second gets the checkered flag and wins his first race of the season at Daytona. Tucker 11 thousandths behind, and at the end of this one, if you look at it here, Julian pushes Christensen so hard, he locks Tucker up with a wreck at the stripe. Take a look one final time. And everyone wrecks from here. Christensen is pushed so hard that he ends up wrecking the entire pack at the stripe.
Yeah, I think he got turned, and when he turned, he crossed the line before Tucker. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing.
Just about the entire field wrecks after that one, but with that being said, Christensen doesn't get a chance to burn out. He will keep the win regardless. What a way to win here in Daytona. John Christensen, your winner by 11 thousandths of a second. Then from there, you'll have Julian Altina in third and Jonas Weber fourth. Bruno Miranda is in fifth, and Liam O'Sullivan is then sixth, with Pedro Blebel seventh and Eric Mercado position number 8. It's Dan Edge ninth and Matthias Strauss rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, we go to the second page here. And Bonnie did some leading early, led 14 laps. 11th, Salvazzi, not as good as he did yesterday. Of course, their strategy wasn't allowing a two-stopper to happen, but finishes 12th. Gallus 13th. Matty Wagner, the stock car driver, 14th. Chris Scala, good run for him, up to the front at times, in the back because of a pit strategy, sometimes in the back, but a good run, I say, for my man Chris. And again, thanks to him for getting me started on this entire mess. 15th. Seb Kinder, 16th. Mark Murphy, and of course, unfortunately, with the whole house internet failure, in 17th. And Doshenko, who also had a bit of a dropout, finished in 18th for your 18-car field.
What a field it was. No cautions at Daytona. Now, we expected to see a good race when it came down to strategy and such, but we had no interruptions all throughout. Just, of course, unfortunate for Mark Murphy and the like, but tonight it was full on from top to bottom. How about John Christensen? A first career victory here in this campaign, and I'll tell you this much, for that 44 crew, we were waiting to see what would come of it, and 11 thousandths of a second makes all the difference. Now, Christensen is not immediately available right now, so maybe we can go from third on up. I only see Joshua Tucker with us right now. Gary, would you like to just go for it?
Yeah. Let's see. Is he in the? Yeah, he's in the waiting room. Let's bring him on up. Tuck finished second. Hey, Josh, got you in the booth here with Dave and Gary. Not a back-to-back win, but a double podium for the weekend here at Daytona. Both caution-free races, unless that little bit right there at the end. So close, but a great race. You held the bottom line, did a good job. Talk about your race. That was a pretty incredible finish.
Yeah, it was a close finish for sure. I was just kind of trying to play the team game for most of the race, give some of these other guys a shot at it. And we got there the last little bit, and I kept timing a run up just to see what I would be able to do, and they left that the outside wide open. And it's one of those things, you see it, you just have to take it, like a kid in a cookie jar. I couldn't help myself. You know me, I'm more of the aggressive driver, but it paid off, and that's a heck of a little bump draft from Jules right there to get Christensen ahead of me at the end. That completely against the rules, but we'll see what the stewards think about that one. But I mean, it's awesome. These guys did a amazing job of going caution free again. It's like I was saying, yesterday. It's our run at these meme tracks are pretty good. So hope it was a good watch for everyone. And man, it's a pretty good weekend all around.
Kind of just a repeat from yesterday. Get another opportunity to do some shout outs to sponsors, friends, families, teammates. I know you got teammates and everybody you want to thank with your squads that you're on. So go right ahead, man.
Yeah, all the guys at Ryder playing teammate with me today. That was awesome. Definitely appreciate those guys, and all the guys at IAR and Jesper and Seb and my wife, of course. I think she got mad.
Yeah, that's the important one right there.
Yeah, I missed that one yesterday. I'm in the doghouse, so I have double makeup for that one. And of course, you guys for doing the broadcast, man. Appreciate it again, Gary.
Well, appreciate it. Good to be here. Good to see a good weekend for you. P2 today, a win yesterday in the DW12s. Josh Tucker, not a bad weekend.
Nope, not a bad weekend.
And waiting for Julian. I'm not sure if he's going to pop in here or not, but we do have the winner in the waiting room. So if you'd like to do the honors, Dave.
Well, let's get the number 44 in with us right now. John Christensen, 11 thousandths of a second. It was a race of strategy and attrition till the very end, and then all hell broke loose on that final lap on the straightaway. But it looks like of everyone in the field, you had the best outcome of them all, and Julian is with us too. How about that? Well, we'll get Julian immediately after. John, the special occasion, of course, victory lane. It's all yours. How you feeling?
I feel absolutely incredible. This was just an awesome race. Not only was it fun to do, it had me on the edge of the seat. I was really worried about the pit stops because pit stops have really been a pain to me lately. And I was able to get them perfect. Our team was very strong. We all got top 10s. I've been in here for a long time. Probably one of the longest, active people so far. I joined back in 2020. And I got my first win in the league about a month ago, and now I win here, and it feels even better than the last time.
And getting the opportunity for the first time here, Gary, you got a question for our winner?
Well, no, I was going to point out his first win at Indy, second win at Daytona. I mean, you're picking the crown jewels, man.
Yeah, I'm just kind of at a loss for words again. It's really awesome. Julian helped block out the top lane. We were trying to strategize the whole race. Big thank you to 4D Racewear also for sponsoring. Helps out the team. And yeah, just awesome day for all of Daytona Autosport. And yeah, I wish I had a car to actually do burnouts with, but last time it didn't go too good. This time I was hoping for better, but I guess spinning across the line is just as good.
An exciting short celebration, we'll say that much. And today it all came down to the pack environment at the very end. You and Julian ended up being right there, nose to tail at the very end. And we saw that push and shove and then the destruction after. Having teammates here at Daytona, always a big deal. So what was it like working with Team 4 today?
It was really cool. We were trying to strategize throughout the whole race. We were going to try to pit together as much as we could. And yeah, we really tried to block off the lanes as best as we could. I tried blocking off the top lane at one point, and Jonas ran over my rear tire, but it is what it is. I'm not going to complain too much. And then Julian also giving me an extra push across the line. I think I still would have gotten it, but the push was nice.
Well, it looks like today.
And also,
yeah,
I would like to say big kudos to Ryder. They put up a really good fight. It became a battle of the teams at the end.
Well, it looks like one final push going to seal the deal for Christensen's crew, the number 44 winning. And John, if you have any final shout outs to make sure to let us know here.
Yeah, shout out to 4D Racewear for sponsoring the team. I also just want to thank Julian for bringing me on to the team last year. And I'm happy that I'm finally really starting to deliver. And I look forward to future seasons with the team.
And an exciting way to win here today. John Christensen, checkered flag is yours, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Looks like, Gary, we have the 11 of Julian waiting right with us. We're replaying that finish, and you see Julian spinning just about the same time, and we've got our third place finisher immediately after our first here, Gary. How about that? Julian standing by.
Hey, Julian, congrats on the podium here. You got to be happy when kind of a driver that you brought on, you kind of mentored a little bit, gets the win. Second win, not in this series, but his first IR-18 primary of the big league win here. But he also got that win in Indianapolis earlier in the IR-05 series. Got to be happy when one of your proteges gets a win.
Oh man, I hope I didn't break my mic yelling to John in the team channel. I was yelling and screaming and everything. My heart is in my throat right now. That was just, I mean, I don't know if it's the best VOR race ever, but it's very, very close to it. I can barely speak. I'm out of breath from all the yelling and just the nerves in general. But seriously, what a race! I'm so proud of John and everybody. Even though Pedro is outgoing, he is always a team player, a legend of ours. So is Dan getting the pole. Just a really great day for all of us today, and I'm just super happy to get a double podium for us. We were kind of joking around with 5 laps to go that this was a Ryder versus VOR battle there, and it really was. It was awesome. I really enjoyed it. We all raced really hard and fair, and it was great. I'm in the Discord right now. Josh is upset that apparently I bump drafted, but I was going for P3 and I was not lifting there at all. It wasn't a bump draft. So if anything, I ran straight over John. Just going for my own result there. So I don't really know what he's upset about. Probably just salty that he got beaten. But it's fine. It was a great race, seriously. And no disrespect to these guys. They were awesome to race with.
So we've turned 300 laps in VOR history at Daytona. 300 laps, only 3 cautions. Race 2 that we did there, the one that Will Lyon won, you had 3 cautions for 9 laps in that one. But since then, and I'm not sure when those cautions happened, but since then, you went 90 yesterday in the 12s, caution-free, and you went another 100 today. Almost 500 miles, really, of caution-free racing here at the World Center of Speed in open-wheel cars. I mean, that you got to be pretty proud of that with your drivers of your league coming in here and being very respectful and ultimate racecraft, putting these cars out there. We know netcode can be an issue at any time. We know that, people can have equipment failures at any time, but you're still able to pull off, 2 out of 3 races in the history of the IR-18 league you've done have been caution-free. Only 9 caution laps and 300 laps in the IR-18 series, and then a caution-free DW12. That's you got to make you want to put Daytona on the schedule again.
I know, right? No, I mean, it's awesome to do every once in a while, and I said it yesterday, but we've done it for so many seasons. I think it's time to return to the norm, at least for a season, and then see for season 13. But yeah, going back to the league, just everybody did a great job today, and it was all clean and respectful, like you said. It was just awesome to see, and it's been mentioned a couple times, but we can pull it off as a league. And even though the start of the season has been rough in terms of yellows and attrition, I think the last couple of weeks have been really trending in the right direction, especially going into next season. So it's just been great from everybody and every driver, every commentator for you guys, and just all the sponsors and partners. I hope they all really enjoyed it. I think honestly, this was the race of the year, absolutely. Maybe even the race. In this particular series, at least, of the league. It's hard, but I really don't know what to say. It's just incredible. I'm a little speechless. I keep yapping about everything, but I just don't know what else to say.
One last question here before we do the shout outs. We only got a couple of races left. You made a little ground on Bruno in the championship. Is there still a shot to get him for the championship crown, or is he just a little too out there, or you need a lot of luck?
Honestly, I'm not really sure. This is the only series at the moment that still has drop weeks. We moved away from those in IRA-5 and DW12, so I don't know how the standings look with that applied, but I think I got a decent shot still. So we'll see. Just need a little bit of help from my teammates, hopefully, in the next couple of races to kind of pull it off. But we'll see. I'm not entirely worried about the championship. I say it every time, basically. I kind of hate to win in my own series because it kind of feels off. You'll know what I mean.
Yeah.
So if I finish second or third right now, I really couldn't care less. In my eyes, for my satisfaction, I won the race because my team won the race. So that's all I care about. And if I don't win the championship in any way, shape, or form, I really don't care. It's just awesome to run with these guys. And even last season and a couple seasons before that, I was in a championship battle, and I said to Matthias Kraus when he was leading the championship and we were fighting, like, I'll give you, I won't make it easy for you, but my commitment isn't on the championship, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna practice 20 hours a week to win the championship. I honestly, I just do a couple laps in practice before the race, and then when the session opens, I'm ready to go, and I just go from there. So I just take each race at a time, and if I get into a good spot in the championship, then so be it. And if I don't, that's just the way it is. I'm not gonna push for something like that. I'd rather focus my entire team attention also on leagues like Indy Elite, for example, where we're really taking off and gaining traction to so to speak. So that's where my focus lies, not necessarily on winning a championship here. Yeah, but
Shout outs.
I was gonna say I'll start with the shout outs right now. Want to thank 40 Raceware for sticking by us through the dark year and everything that's happened with IndyCar and the licensing stuff. You guys as well, Gary. We've been friends for a long time now. David, we haven't known each other for that long, but it's been awesome to work with you so far, and can't wait for more. Just everybody on the team: John, Dan, Pedro. I don't know if I'm forgetting somebody. I really hope I don't, but it's just my mind is completely overjoyed right now. Sorry if I forget anybody. It's nothing personal, I swear. Just all of you guys are amazing. Everybody that showed up today, just amazing, clean racing. It was awesome. And I want to thank also Red Engineering for giving us a good fight there. And it was the first of hopefully many good battles on the track. I'm just happy this time we came out on top.
Congrats, man. We'll see you at Suzuka here a couple of weeks.
Awesome. Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Time for a beer.
Dave, go ahead.
Well, with Julian on the move, we've spoken to all your top 3 drivers today, and I'll tell you this much, Daytona, one of our cleanest races of the season. And now we're looking at... Yeah?
Amazing. I mean, it's the irony of that, isn't it?
Yeah, I tell you this much. Did not expect to go in and see such a clean event out of this track, but we had a great show, strategy, and a fantastic finish to go with it. And I'll tell you this much, it's even more exciting that we'll be coming back next week. Suzuka.
Yeah, 6 cars separated by less than a tenth of a second there at the end. Christensen, Tucker, Altena, Weber, Miranda, Sullivan, less than a tenth of a second separated those 6 drivers. And another interesting stat coming up that I just noticed with the points, and Julian has not updated them yet, but Julian is in contention for the points championship, and it should be noted that Julian doesn't have any wins this year. Bruno has the bulk of the wins. I think he has something like 5, I want to say. Let me look at the race schedule. There it is. Yeah, Bruno won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's got 6 wins out of 12 races this season. He's not quite got the championship clinched. There's an outside shot. I think Julian could sneak in and get this. Still in the 2 races left at Suzuka, and then we'll finish up at Fontana. But it's not unprecedented to have someone in the history of IndyCar win the points championship and not win the race. I know there was kind of a while ago, and that's why they have the playoffs in NASCAR that a lot of people didn't like when Kenseth only won 1 race 1 year and won the championship. Back in 1978, Tom Sneva won the national championship, national title, the USAC Champ Car national title without a single win when he was driving for Team Penske. And actually, he lost his ride the next year, as a matter of fact, on Team Penske to a new up-and-coming driver that Penske was wanting to make full-time, Rick Mears. So even though you win the championship, still no guarantee you're going to keep your seat in IndyCar racing. But Tom Sneva did win the national championship without a single win in '78. So we could see it here in VOR if Julian has 2 really good finishing, strong close races here at the close the season out, and Bruno doesn't have one, or Bruno has some issue where he maybe can't make one or whatever. A lot of stuff going on. But Bruno, I suspect that he will fight extremely hard, just like I suspected he would take that 3rd line coming to the finish here in this race. I suspect he will fight to the bitter end and try to get this championship for him and his team.
Well, perhaps now the most important leg of the championship tour is just ahead of us in Julian versus Bruno. We're going to figure out who gets the championship in 2 weeks' time, and we'll be back next week for the Suzuka Grand Prix. Tonight, you've been watching the VOR IR-18 series at the virtual Daytona International Speedway. you enjoyed tonight's coverage, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe. FTN will return with Saturday Night Thunder's coverage for the virtual Auto Club Speedway, so hope you enjoy that racing as well. The day is not done for us here, and there's a lot more coverage to come. Next Saturday, keep tuned in for the Suzuka Grand Prix, and we hope to join you there once again. I've been David Kreutz, joined today by Gary Godso, and we hope once again you enjoyed our exclusive coverage here of the Black Magic Designs 400. Thank you all for tuning in to tonight's presentation, and we hope you have a great night.